One of the fun things, or at least I think one of the fun things to come out of the Bill Nye versus Ken Ham debate was this article that BuzzFeed put up that a lot of you may have seen, where they took photographs of 22 people who had attended the debate, who were creationists, self-identifying creationists, and they asked them to write little messages to people who accept evolution, and then they took a picture and then they posted these 22 messages to evolutionists from creationists. And then they did the opposite too. They posted messages from evolutionists to creationists. And I thought it was fun, and a lot of people have seen it. And it occurred to me when I was looking at the 22 messages from creationists to people like me who accept evolution, is that most of their messages are questions. And most of the questions can be answered very succinctly with just a few words, maybe a sentence or two. So I'm going to try to do that now. Let's look at all 22 of these messages from creationists, and I will do the best I can as just an ordinary guy with a basic understanding of evolution, just a little bit of bare minimum Bio 101 scientific knowledge, and I will try to answer these 22 questions as quickly and as succinctly and as well as I can. So here we go. Here is the first picture. This was number one. This is a nice looking guy. He actually reminds me of my music teacher in high school. And his message is, Bill Nye, are you influencing the minds of children in a positive way? Well, I'm not Bill, so maybe it's unfair of me to presume to answer this one. But I think he is. Bill Nye's message throughout the debate for his part was that we should teach students science, proper science, in science class. And that there's a difference between properly practiced science and the creationism that Ken Ham espouses. And I think that's a very positive influence on not just children, but everybody. Number two, she says, are you scared of a divine creator? No, I'm not, for the same reason that I'm not scared of being abducted by aliens when I walk outside of my house. Number three, here's this guy. He looks a little nuts, doesn't he, in the eyes? Is it completely illogical that the Earth was created mature, i.e. trees created with rings, Adam created as an adult? Yes. Given the evidence, given what we know, that is completely illogical because it's unjustified. There is nothing to compel that conclusion. Does not the second law of thermodynamics disprove evolution? No. Number five, this woman says, how do you explain a sunset if there is no God? Because the Earth orbits the sun and it rotates, causing the sun to appear to move back and forth in our sky. Number six, if the Big Bang Theory is true and taught as science along with evolution, why do the laws of thermodynamics debunk said theories? Because they don't. Number seven, what about noetics? If by noetics you mean not like old school noetic philosophy, but the more modern phenomenon of noetic sciences or the philosophy of the mind, that kind of stuff, I think it's bullshit. I think it's pseudoscience and there's no reason to take it seriously. Number eight, where do you derive objective meaning in life? I don't derive objective meaning from anywhere. I don't think objective meaning exists, and I'm okay with that. Number nine, if God did not create everything, how did the first single-cell organism originate? By chance? We don't know is the best answer to that question. We don't know exactly how the first organism originated, but we can reasonably assume, without knowing the details yet, that it was by some complex biochemical process. Because that is what life ultimately is anyway. It's a complex biochemical process. Number 10, I believe in the Big Bang Theory. God said it, and bang, it happened. That's cute. Did you write that yourself? Number 11, why do evolutionists, secularists, humanists, non-God-believing people reject the idea of there being a creator God, but embrace the concept of intelligent design from aliens or other extraterrestrial sources? Well, I don't think they do. At least not many, not really. There aren't any serious scientists who embrace that form of extraterrestrial intelligent design as like a legitimate possibility, because the evidence doesn't support that. Here's number 12. There is no in-between. The only one found has been Lucy, and there are only a few pieces of the hundreds necessary for an official proof. I'm not sure you know what you're talking about. You don't get animals that are half ancestor, half descendant. It doesn't work that way. It's a very gradual transition. And the fossil record is filled with intermediate transitional forms. That demonstrates a poor understanding of what evolutionary theory actually says. And if you're going to criticize it and reject it, you should at least understand what it actually says. Number 13, does metamorphosis help support evolution? I certainly don't see how it contradicts evolution. I don't see how you have to infer the participation of some divine creator, designer, agent to explain metamorphosis. 14, if evolution is a theory, like creationism or the Bible, why then is evolution taught as fact? Well, because evolution is both a theory and a fact. And by the way, creationism is not a theory, and neither is the Bible. You should look up what a theory actually is in a scientific context. 15, because science by definition is a theory, not testable, observable, nor repeatable, why do you object to creationism or intelligent design being taught in school? What you described is actually the opposite of science. A good scientific theory is testable and observable and repeatable. That's what a scientific theory is. I don't know where you've gotten the impression that science by definition is not testable. That's exactly the opposite of what science should be. Number 16. What mechanism has science discovered that evidences an increase of genetic information seen in any genetic mutation or evolutionary process? I think part of the confusion here is this use of words like information or language when we're referring to genetics. Those are just metaphors. Those are just ways of talking. Those ways of creating a model of understanding what genes, what DNA is. We're just talking about molecules. Genes are just particular arrangements of molecules that code for particular proteins. When we refer to it as a code, when we refer to it as a language or as information, we're using those terms descriptively, metaphorically. What we're actually talking about in real life are molecules. And there's no reason to assume that if a mutation rearranges the molecules that create, that constitute a gene, that we shouldn't expect to see some different trait manifest itself as a result of that, because that's the way genetics works. 17. What purpose do you think you are here for if you do not believe in salvation? I think every person is entitled to decide for themselves what their purpose is. I think it's kind of depressing, this idea that Christians hold to, that their purpose for their life has been given to them without any input from them by some higher power. Don't you think that's depressing? Don't you find that less than fulfilling? I mean, maybe you don't. Obviously, it does something for you if you're asking the question. I don't know. I just don't think that would do it for me. I don't want someone else to tell me what the purpose of my life is. I want to be able to figure it out for myself. Define the purpose of my life around what's important to me, about what makes me happy, what makes the people I care about happy. 18. Why have we found only one Lucy when we have found more than one of everything else? There are lots of, maybe not Lucys, but there are lots of transitional forms that establish that part of evolution. And by the way, even if you didn't have the fossil record at all, which is a powerful testament to the truth of evolution, even if you ripped the fossil record completely out of textbooks, there would still be enough evidence to conclude that evolution is true. 19. Can you believe in the Big Bang without faith? Yeah, you can believe in the Big Bang without religious faith. Number 20, how can you look at the world and not believe someone created thought of it? It's amazing. We're on the same page as far as that. I believe the world is an incredibly, overwhelmingly amazing place. Our planet, our solar system, our galaxy, our universe, as we have been able to discover it and understand it, is so amazing and so beautiful and so wondrous. And there's just nothing about it that makes me think that someone created it. I think that's an argument from incredulity. The fact that it is this amazing, wondrous place doesn't make me believe that someone had to have created it. And the fact that I don't think anybody created it doesn't diminish its wonder or its amazingness at all. 21. Relating to the Big Bang Theory, where did the exploding star come from? I think what you mean is what used to be called the singularity, and now a lot of physicists and cosmologists don't even call it the singularity anymore. Just whatever the thing was that banged. Where did it come from? The only honest answer to that is we don't know. We never used to know what caused diseases. Now we know. Maybe someday we'll know exactly what the Big Bang was and where that matter came from. Or maybe we won't. But the fact that we don't know where that came from, the fact that we don't know the answer to that question, doesn't mean that you know the answer or that your religion knows the answer. Because it doesn't. If you can think of a question, a scientific question that hasn't been answered, you don't get to plug God into there. You don't get to say, aha, see, we haven't explained that. That must have been God. That's not the way it works. And finally, number 22, if we came from monkeys, then why are there still monkeys? We didn't come from monkeys. We actually, those of us who are alive today, came from other humans, as I think you well know. Humans as a species came from primate ancestors that were not monkeys, at least not modern monkeys, nor modern chimpanzees, nor any modern species. But let's just assume for the moment that we did come from monkeys. Why, if we came from monkeys, would there still be monkeys? For the same reason that there are still wolves, even though we also have dogs. For the same reason that there are still Europeans, even though we have European Americans. For the same reason there are still Africans, even though we have African Americans. Because the existence of a descendant does not necessitate the end or the absence of an ancestor. Anyway, those are my answers to those 22 questions, those 22 messages from creationists. Most of them look like very nice, pleasant people. I'm sure that it would be perfectly enjoyable to sit down and have a cup of coffee with them and talk over some of these things. I don't think they're bad people. I just think that they are sadly misinformed on a lot of stuff. And boy, did they come to the wrong place to correct that. The Creation Museum. Although maybe Bill Nye got through to a few of them. Who knows? Let's hope so.